The dangerous lie? We tell strong Black women why your survival mode is killing your soul. Today, I want to share something that might make you uncomfortable, something that might challenge everything you've been taught about strength, about resilience, about what it means to be a Black woman in this world. I recently had the profound honor of speaking with someone who is literally changing the landscape of how we understand healing, boundaries, and transformation for Black women. Venus Markham is not just a voice in the wilderness, they are a beacon of light for thousands of high achieving Black women who have spent decades carrying the weight of the world on their shoulders. Through their work, their advocacy, and their unwavering commitment to helping women reclaim their softness without apology, Venus is creating a movement that says you don't have to break yourself to prove your worth. Their impact is immeasurable, and the insights they shared with me form the foundation of what I'm about to share with you today. Let me start with a question that might sting a little. When was the last time you rested without guilt? When was the last time you said no without immediately following it with an explanation, an apology, or a justification? When was the last time you chose yourself? Not because you were burned out, not because you were on the verge of collapse, but simply because you deserved it. If you're struggling to answer these questions, you're not alone. And that's exactly the problem. We have been sold a lie, a dangerous, soul crushing lie that has been passed down through generations like a toxic inheritance. The lie says that strength means suffering in silence, that resilience means never breaking, that being a strong Black woman means carrying everyone else's burdens while your own soul slowly dies from neglect. And here's the most insidious part of this lie: we've been conditioned to wear our exhaustion like a badge of honor. We brag about how little sleep we get. We compete over who has the most on their plate. We celebrate our ability to keep going, keep pushing, keep surviving, even when survival is literally killing us. I want you to sit with that for a moment. Survival is killing us, not the dramatic, immediate kind of death, but the slow, quiet erosion of everything that makes life worth living: joy, peace, softness, connection, the ability to simply be. Venus shared something with me that absolutely shattered my understanding of this dynamic. They told me about a woman, let's call her Monica. Monica was a powerhouse, director of operations at a Fortune 500 company, mother of three, active in her church, the person everyone called when they needed something done, the one who never said no, the one who always had it together. On the outside, Monica was winning. She had the career, the family, the respect of her community. But on the inside, Monica was drowning. She couldn't remember the last time she'd done something just for herself. She couldn't remember the last time she laughed, really laughed, the kind of laughter that comes from pure joy rather than social obligation. She was so disconnected from her own needs that when someone asked her what she wanted, she literally couldn't answer. Not because she was being humble or selfless, but because she genuinely had no idea. Monica had become so good at survival that she'd forgotten how to live. And here's what makes this story so powerful, so heartbreaking, and so common. Monica didn't even realize she was suffering. She thought this was just life. She thought this was what being a strong Black woman looked like. She thought her exhaustion was normal. Her disconnection was normal. Her complete loss of self was normal. Until one day her body said enough. Panic attacks, insomnia, a blood pressure reading that terrified her doctor. Her body was screaming what her mind refused to acknowledge. You cannot keep living like this. But here's where Monica's story takes a turn. And this is where Venus's insights become absolutely critical. Monica didn't need another productivity hack. She didn't need another time management system. She didn't need to learn how to do more with less. She needed something far more radical. She needed permission to stop, not permission from her boss, not permission from her family, not permission from her church or her community or society at large. She needed permission from herself. And that is the revolution we're not talking about. Venus walked me through Monica's transformation, and I want you to hear this because it's going to challenge everything you think you know about strength and boundaries and self care. Monica started small. She started by saying no to one thing, just one. A committee she'd been on for years that drained her energy and gave her nothing in return. And you know what happened? The committee survived. The organization didn't collapse. The world kept spinning. But something inside Monica shifted. She realized that her worth wasn't tied to her productivity, that her value wasn't measured by how much she could endure, that saying no didn't make her selfish or weak or less than. It made her human. So she kept going. She said no to the family member who always needed money but never paid it back. She said no to the friend who only called when she needed something. She said no to the voice in her own head that told her she had to earn her rest, had to justify her needs, had to apologize for taking up space. And here's what's absolutely beautiful about Monica's story. As she started setting boundaries, as she started protecting her energy, as she started choosing herself, she didn't become less. She became more, more present, more joyful, more connected to the people who actually mattered, more alive. But let me be clear about something. This transformation wasn't easy because here's what nobody tells you about setting boundaries as a Black woman. People will be mad. They will call you selfish. They will say you've changed. They will accuse you of thinking you're better than everyone else. They will weaponize your guilt, your conditioning, your deep seated need to be seen as good and helpful and strong. And this is where most women break. This is where they go back to the old patterns, the old roles, the old version of themselves that everyone else was comfortable with, even if that version was slowly dying inside. But Monica didn't break. And you want to know why? Because Venus taught her something that changed everything. Your discomfort with other people's disappointment is not your responsibility to fix. Read that again. Say it out loud. Write it on your mirror. Tattoo it on your soul. Your discomfort with other people's disappointment is not your responsibility to fix. The people who truly love you, who truly value you, who truly see you, they will adjust. They will respect your boundaries. They will celebrate your growth. And the people who don't, they were never really for you in the first place. They were for what you could do for them. Now, I want to share another story that Venus told me because this one reveals something even deeper about the cost of survival mode. There was a woman, we'll call her Jasmine. Jasmine was a successful attorney, partner at her firm, respected in her field, and absolutely miserable. Jasmine had spent her entire life proving herself, proving she was smart enough, proving she was tough enough, proving she belonged in space that weren't designed for her, and she'd succeeded by every external measure. But somewhere along the way, Jasmine had lost herself. She'd become so focused on being what everyone else needed her to be that she had no idea who she actually was. She dressed the way she thought a successful attorney should dress. She talked the way she thought a successful attorney should talk. She lived her entire life performing a role that was suffocating her. And the worst part, she didn't even realize it until she was sitting in her corner office one day, looking out at the city and thought, is this it? Is this what I sacrificed everything for? Venus helped Jasmine understand something profound. Survival mode doesn't just exhaust you, it erases you. When you're in survival mode, you're not making choices based on who you are or what you want or what brings you joy. You're making choices based on what will keep you safe, what will keep you accepted, what will keep you from being rejected or abandoned or hurt. And over time, you become a ghost of yourself. A carefully constructed performance designed to meet everyone else's expectations while your true self withers away in the darkness. Jasmine's transformation was different from Monica's, but equally powerful. She didn't just need to set boundaries, she needed to rediscover herself, to remember who she was before the world told her who she had to be. She started therapy, she started journaling, she started asking herself questions she'd been avoiding for decades. What do I actually enjoy? What do I want my life to look like? Who am I when I'm not performing? And slowly, carefully, courageously, Jasmine started making changes, small ones at first. She started wearing colors she actually liked instead of the black and gray uniform of corporate success. She started saying yes to invitations that excited her and no to obligations that drained her. She started speaking in her natural voice instead of the carefully modulated tone she'd adopted to sound more professional. And you know what happened? Some people didn't like it. Some people preferred the old Jasmine, the one who was predictable and palatable and non threatening. But Jasmine finally felt alive. Now, I need to talk about something that Venus emphasized repeatedly in our conversation, and it's this journey from survival to softness, from performing to being, from exhaustion to ease. It's not selfish, it's sacred. We have been taught that putting ourselves first is the ultimate sin, that self care is indulgent, that choosing our own peace over other people's comfort is wrong. But here's the truth that nobody wants to say out loud: you cannot pour from an empty cup, you cannot give what you don't have, you cannot love others well when you haven't learned to love yourself. And more than that, you don't have to earn your worth through suffering. You don't have to prove your value through sacrifice. You don't have to break yourself to be deserving of rest, of joy, of softness, of love. You are worthy simply because you exist. Full stop. No qualifications, no conditions, no performance required. Venus shared a third story with me, and this one I think will resonate with so many of you listening right now. There was a woman we'll call her Tanya. Tanya was the person everyone leaned on, the strong friend, the reliable sister, the capable daughter, the one who showed up no matter what, who helped no matter the cost, who gave until there was nothing left. And Tanya was proud of this. She thought this was love. She thought this was what it meant to be a good person, a good friend, a good family member. Until one day, Tanya had a crisis of her own. Her marriage was falling apart. She was struggling financially. She was barely holding it together. And when she reached out to all those people she'd been there for, they were nowhere to be found. Some were too busy. Some didn't know what to say. Some just disappeared. And Tanya was devastated, not just by the lack of support, but by the realization that all those relationships she thought were reciprocal weren't. She'd been giving and giving and giving, and nobody had ever been asked to give back. So they didn't know how. And honestly, some of them didn't want to. Venus helped Tanya see that she hadn't been building relationships. She'd been building dependencies. She'd been so busy being everyone's savior that she'd never let anyone see her humanity, her vulnerability, her need. And the transformation that followed was revolutionary. Tanya started being honest about her struggles. She started asking for help. She started letting people see her not as the strong friend who had it all together, but as a whole human being who sometimes fell apart. And yes, some people left. Some people only wanted Tanya when she was useful, but the people who stayed, those relationships deepened in ways Tanya never thought possible because for the first time, they were real. So let me bring this all together because I know some of you are sitting here thinking this sounds great, but I don't know if I can do this. I don't know if I'm strong enough to change. I don't know if I'm brave enough to choose myself. And I want to tell you something that Venus said to me that absolutely changed my perspective. Choosing yourself doesn't require strength, it requires surrender. You don't have to be strong enough to set boundaries. You just have to be tired enough of not having them. You don't have to be brave enough to say no. You just have to be honest enough to stop saying yes when you mean no. You don't have to be courageous enough to rest. You just have to be exhausted enough to finally stop. This isn't about adding more to your plate. This isn't about becoming a better version of the person you've been performing. This is about laying down the performance entirely. This is about surrendering the cape, the mask, the role, the expectation. This is about coming home to yourself. And I know that's scary. I know it feels risky. I know you're worried about what people will think, what people will say, whether people will still love you if you're not constantly giving, doing, performing, proving. But here's what I need you to understand: the people who will leave when you set boundaries were never really there in the first place. They were there for what you could do for them, not for who you are. And the people who stay, the people who respect your no, who celebrate your growth, who love you even when you're not useful, those are your people. Those are the relationships worth keeping. Venus left me with something that I want to leave you with today. A question that should guide every decision you make, every boundary you set, every time you're tempted to say yes when you mean no. The question is this: is this choice honoring my humanity or sacrificing it? Is this choice honoring my humanity or sacrificing it? Because here's the truth: every time you say yes when you mean no, you're sacrificing your humanity. Every time you ignore your needs to meet someone else's wants, you're sacrificing your humanity. Every time you push through exhaustion instead of resting, you're sacrificing your humanity. And we cannot keep doing this. We cannot keep sacrificing ourselves on the altar of other people's comfort, other people's expectations, other people's needs. It's time for something different. It's time for something radical. It's time to stop surviving and start living. So here's my challenge to you: not tomorrow, not next week, not when things calm down or when you have more time or when it's more convenient. Right now, I want you to think of one thing, just one thing that you've been saying yes to that you need to say no to. One commitment that's draining you, one relationship that's one sided, one expectation that's crushing you, one role you've been performing that's erasing who you really are. And I want you to say no, not with an explanation, not with an apology, not with a justification. Just no. And then I want you to notice what happens. Notice the guilt that rises up. Notice the fear that whispers you're being selfish. Notice the voice that tells you you're not allowed to choose yourself. And I want you to sit with that discomfort. Don't run from it. Don't fix it. Don't apologize for it. Just admit you sit with it. Because on the other side of that discomfort, that's where your life is waiting. That's where your joy is waiting. That's where your peace is waiting. That's where you are waiting. The real you, not the performance, not the role, not the version of yourself you've been presenting to keep everyone else comfortable. You. And I promise you, you are worth meeting. You are worth knowing. You are worth choosing. So choose yourself. Not because you're strong enough, but because you're human enough. Not because you've earned it, but because you're worthy of it. Not because it's easy, but because you deserve a life that feels like living instead of surviving. Your softness is not weakness. Your boundaries are not selfishness. Your rest is not laziness. Your needs are not too much. You are not too much. You have never been too much. You are exactly enough, exactly as you are, without the cape, without the performance, without the constant giving until there's nothing left. It's time to come home to yourself. It's time to remember who you are beneath all the roles and expectations and conditioning. It's time to stop surviving and start thriving. The world doesn't need another strong Black woman who's slowly dying inside while everyone around her benefits from her sacrifice. The world needs you, whole, healed, rested, boundaried, soft, alive. So take off the cape, set down the burden, say the no, choose yourself. Not someday, today, right now, this moment, because your life, your real life is waiting and it's time to finally start living it